Hi, my name is Gervonta, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation. How did that one do?
That was very good. Do it just maybe one or two more, okay? Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, it looks like now Gervonta Tank Davis, he wants to give Ryan Garcia a taste of his own medicine, because he just came out and recently said, Ryan is begging to fight me now. Now I make you wait. Just so you know, we run the show. I'm fighting twice this year. I don't care if they dissing, it ain't deep, end quote. Now, the first question that comes to mind is when Gervonta says that Ryan is begging for the fight now. Does he mean that Ryan is just saying things verbally, like on his Instagram or in interviews? Or did Ryan take the extra step, the extra serious step, to basically try to contact Gervonta Tank Davis's people? Like, how can we make this fight? What do we need to do? Basically like the same thing that Devin Haney did with Gary Russell and Teofimo Lopez. Like interrupting Teofimo's interviews and actually offering him money on the spot. Because that's exactly what Bill Haney did with Teofimo Sr., offered him $4 million on the behalf of DAZN. That's when you know for a fact someone is aggressively chasing that fight. The reason why it's important for Tank Davis to know this personally, because there's always a possibility that maybe Ryan Garcia still doesn't want the fight if he hasn't went the extra Devin Haney mile for a Tank Davis fight. Because the move that Ryan Garcia just pulled, going on to the Mike Tyson show, promising Mike Tyson that Tank Davis is next, it's written in stone, jumping all in the camera, predicting a second round knockout. He did all of that just to say a couple days later that he's fighting someone else. And then it turns out, according to Oscar De La Hoya, that fight was never on the table. And Oscar said that Ryan was saying all that just for Instagram. In other words, Oscar De La Hoya was accusing his own fighter of clout chasing. Ryan Garcia, he basically cried wolf in that situation. And because of that, we can no longer take anything he says seriously until he turns his words into action. Until we hear somebody like Gervonta himself say that we're negotiating, we're in serious negotiations when it comes to a possible fight against Garcia, then we can start saying, okay, this might be the real thing right here. But anything that Ryan Garcia says about fighting Tank Davis right now, yeah, you have to take it with a big ass chunk of salt. And Ryan Garcia, he has no one to blame but himself when it comes to how he is perceived today. Now, the roles definitely seem to be reversed right now, but we still have to see who this fighter Gervonta Tank Davis is talking about facing next when he says he's fighting against a champion. And when someone asked him if it's going to be at 130, 135, he said neither. But then later on, he deleted that post where he said neither. So maybe that means that now it can be at 130 or 135. We need to find out who it is. Because I know as smart as Floyd Mayweather is when it comes to promoting Tank Davis, they don't want to lose that momentum from that fantastic knockout over Leo Santa Cruz. So with that being said, they have to know it would make no sense at all to fight some C-level opponent that no one cares about, as opposed to aggressively going after the Ryan Garcia option. See, a lot of the black fighters, they don't understand the racial double standards that exist in the sport of boxing. Meaning, you're not going to get the same type of reception for trying to do the same things that a Teofimo does, or even say you're going to do the same type of stuff that a Teofimo does. Not saying that that's what Tank wants to do, but my point is, we all know that when Teofimo is avoiding all the dangerous black fighters, he turns down more money to fight Devin Haney, to fight a George Kambosos for less. And old media and the majority or all of the non-black fans are defending him. passionately defending him, right? My point is, this is not going to happen if a fighter on the coincidental list tries to do the exact same thing. Perfect example, just read the comments and listen to what these decafs, what these non-black fans are saying when it comes to Canelo Alvarez, Ryan Garcia, and Teofimo Lopez avoiding fighters. But when it comes to Jermall Charlo, the same fans that are defending those fighters are now flooding Jermall Charlo's Instagram, and whenever there's a video about him, they're flooding the comment section with ducks. He's ducking. And the difference between Charlo and Ryan, Canelo, and Teo is Charlo and David Benavidez, they aren't even in the same weight class. You have never heard me accuse a fighter of avoiding someone who's in a different weight class. Matter of fact, to extend the point that I'm making, I remember when Canelo was at 160, soon as he had one fight at 168, the fans that were defending Canelo, they automatically said he didn't have to fight Charlo anymore because they're not in the same weight class. But then look at what they're saying now when it comes to David Benavidez versus Charlo, which, by the way, I'm still very optimistic that that fight is going to happen in September. Because if Charlo doesn't take that fight this year, or if there isn't even serious negotiations going on by the end of this year, it will be the biggest mistake that Jermall Charlo makes in his career as a professional boxer. Once again, this goes back to the original point I was making when I was trying to get you guys to understand black fighters don't have the options that fighters on the hope list has. Jermall Charlo, he's in a situation where he has no choice but to fight a David Benavidez because he's not going to get a Canelo fight. He can't fight the other champions at 168 because Canelo, he's got the whole division sold up when it comes to the champions this year, right? So if Jermall is not going to fight Demetrius Andrade, which he has showed zero interest in facing, the only option he has is to fight against David Benavidez. David is the only opponent that will completely catapult Jermall Charlo's position. But see, if Jermall was on the hope list, these fans, they would be saying that David Benavidez, who has he fought? He doesn't deserve to fight Jermall Charlo. Charlo could fight whoever he wants, etc., right? And this is the reason why black fighters, they need to know what time it is. So I really hope that Floyd Mayweather and Gervonta Tank Davis, they really have a good plan to make up for not taking the Ryan Garcia fight. Because deep down, we don't know if Ryan Garcia is kind of happy. He might be actually happy that Gervonta is saying things like, now you have to wait. Because we already know what Ryan is going to do. Now Ryan, if Ryan was already aggressively calling out Tank Davis when it turns out he didn't even want the fight, he had no plans of taking the fight, imagine how he's going to be barking now that he hears Gervonta Tank Davis come out and say, oh, we're going to make him wait. We're going to make him wait, etc. And let me say this as well. We know for a fact that it was only barking when it came to Ryan Garcia going on the Tyson show, I'm gonna knock him out in 2 rounds, etc. We know it was only barking because if Ryan truly wanted that Tank Davis fight, right after that interview on the Tyson show, negotiations should have already started with Tank Davis. And even when the idea of a Manny Pacquiao fight was presented to Ryan Garcia by whoever, why would he stop negotiating with Tank Davis? He could have continued negotiating to make the Tank Davis fight and then found out if the Manny Pacquiao fight was a real offer or not. He could have made sure that Oscar was on board, Manny Pacquiao was on board, the term sheets were out, and both parties agreed to the terms. Then he could have pulled out of a Tank Davis fight. But Ryan Garcia didn't do this. Soon as someone brought up Manny Pacquiao's name, all of a sudden he goes on Instagram, he announces, this is my next fight. And that just blew up in his face completely. When his promoter came out and said that basically Ryan is a clout chaser. Don't believe anything he says. I mean, this is pretty much what Oscar De La Hoya said. Don't believe what this kid says. He does it for Instagram. It completely blew up in Ryan Garcia's face. Even he admitted that a lot of people told him it was a bad idea for him to put that poster up on his Instagram promoting a fight with him and Manny Pacquiao, just to find out that Oscar De La Hoya is saying, we can't even get in contact with Manny Pacquiao. So I don't know what Ryan Garcia is talking about. If Ryan was serious about a Tank Davis fight, he would have kept those negotiations strong. So if it blew up in his face, the Manny Pacquiao situation, he could stay on track, stay on course with the Tank Davis fight. This should have been one of those stories that never even reached the public. This should have been one of them stories we hear about later, where after the Tank Davis-Garcia fight, Ryan is telling the public, he's doing an interview saying, did you guys know that while I was negotiating the Tank Davis fight, I had some people telling me we could make a Manny Pacquiao fight, but I didn't think they were serious. So I continued pushing for the Tank Davis fight. At the end of the day, let's say Manny Pacquiao and Ryan Garcia were in serious negotiations, right? Even if they were in serious negotiations, you cannot aggressively call out another fighter like Tank Davis, constantly saying, you better fight me next, Tank. Don't run from me after you see what I do to Luke Campbell. I'm knocking you out in 2 rounds. If you don't take this fight, your career will crumble. You can't say all of these things and then out of nowhere say, oh guys, I decided to fight someone else instead of Tank next. You can't do that. But it's even way worse for him because once again, the fight never happened. And his own promoter basically called him a clout chaser. So with that being said, I really look forward to seeing who Tank Davis is going to fight next. Once again, I told you guys on my previous video, when he hinted that the fight wasn't going to be at 130 or 135, I was telling you guys that there's a very good chance that he could be fighting against Mario Barrios at 140. Mario is a WBA regular champion at 140, and he's an undefeated fighter. He's trained by Virgil Hunter. And the fact that he's a Mexican fighter and Floyd Mayweather made his reputation fighting Mexican fighters on Mexican holidays, I'm sure he wants to do the same thing with Gervonta Tank Davis. That's why we got that great fight with Tank Davis going up against Leo Santa Cruz. So that's just a possibility. There's nothing, we don't know exactly what they're planning, but I'm just saying that's a possibility. And this might be a stretch, but this is a small possibility. He could even be possibly looking at Manny Pacquiao, fighting him at 140. For those of you guys who don't know, Gervonta Tank Davis, he actually called out Manny Pacquiao after Manny beat Adrian Broner. So it's possible. It's definitely possible. It would be crazy as hell, though, I tell you, if Tank Davis was able to make Ryan Garcia wait and then take the opponent that Ryan Garcia was trying to fight in an exhibition over the Tank Davis fight, and Tank ends up fighting him in a real fight. Boy, that would be a good look for Tank Davis. But like I said, that's only a slight possibility. The one thing we know, because Gervonta just confirmed it, the fight will not be at 126. And I actually told you in my previous video before Gervonta said that he had never previously hinted at ever possibly fighting at 126. He's always said I could go back and forth 135, 130, and he hinted at going up to 140 before, but he had never said, depending on who the opponent, I could go all the way down to 126. So he confirms it's not going to be at 126. We'll see who it is. I just really hope it's going to be a fight that's going to make sense. And I truly believe a Mario Barrios fight at a higher weight class, that guy is big, he's tall, he's talented, he's undefeated, and he's a champion. That would be a good look. And then once again, of course, Manny Pacquiao, that just takes Gervonta Tank Davis to the next level, especially if he can beat him, which is obviously not going to be an easy fight. Let's see if the fans say the same things that they were saying when they were defending Ryan Garcia for turning down the Gervonta Tank Davis fight to fight Manny Pacquiao in an exhibition. Because all those fans were saying, man, who would turn down a Manny Pacquiao fight? He's fighting against a legend, etc., etc. If Tank is lucky enough to get this fight, let's see if they say the same thing in defense of Gervonta Tank Davis. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes, then this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Deki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodeki.com, like them on Facebook, and follow them on Instagram. Now check this out. If you've lost your hair or you have a receding hairline, the time has come where you can finally get your hairline back with a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that actually replicates your hair follicles. So if you want this hookup, contact my man Scalp Carolinas at 704-499-3471. This man, he does all of his own procedures. He serves people from all over the world, and he's rated with a 5.0 when it comes to reviews on Google. So don't wait, contact my man as soon as possible to get this hookup.